Hello, and welcome again to the LucaBeth Lounge, the new cozy space for fans who love Lucas and Elizabeth and everyone in Hope Valley on Wayne Calls the Heart. We're so glad you're in the lounge with us again today to have some fun. So grab your teacups, settle in, and let's start talking. Today we have Jenny, me, Jillian, Blanca, Div, and Linda. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to be together again in the lounge.
Of
We had
course,
such a blast
always.
chatting about Lucas and Elizabeth on our first podcast. So we're all like really ready to dive into the bridge in the library for chapter 2 of the Lucas and Elizabeth love story and the season 8 finale. And we've loved some of the feedback we've gotten so far. Jillian, you run our socials. How do you feel like it's been?
It's been so exciting to watch because I had hoped that people would enjoy it, but all we're getting is tons of positive feedback, and we welcome any feedback. I'm just telling you, but it's been all positive and it's so fun.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun interacting with people on social media and stuff. So I love that some people have said that they feel like they're sitting on the couch with us, just like having a chat with their friends, and they're like talking back to us and laughing with us and stuff. And I just love that. I love it.
It's so
It's
nice.
like best case scenario.
Yeah.
I think that's what we wanted. It's like, I feel like we were talking about that last time. Like, it's everyone's dream if you're a big fan to get together with other people who love something too and just get a chance to talk. So just the idea that we get together and talk about this and share that with everyone else that loves Lucas and Elizabeth feels like so good. And we want this to feel as inclusive as possible. And that's what's super fun about having the socials too, I think. So great. Well, thanks. So before we dive into the recap, there was some new content, you could call it that, released this week on Paul Green's podcast with this interview with Chris Manali, the guy who got the girl. So did everyone watch? Everyone watch the podcast or watch the video?
I didn't watch all of it, but most of it, I think I did, because I had already listened to it. Not all of it either, but yeah, I think all in all, I heard the most important parts, the highlights, to stick. So yeah.
I thought it was really nice to see the faces and like,
It was. It was. I listened to it first, and it was such a good interview. I mean, it was like 2 hours long. And I listened to the whole thing, and I was just like, I love this. And now I want like an expensive record player, like nice speakers and stuff. And I want to
be cool too and have a record.
I want olive trees, and I want all the things. Like, I just want to sit on his couch and drink cocktails.
Pillows. No, he literally has like the coolest house I've ever seen. I love how everyone gushes about that. And it's just so, Paul does such a nice job of talking to him and having such a nice conversation. It was just so nice to see like two really nice men have a conversation and talk about everything with the show. Chris is just, he's such an enigma, but he's so private and soft-spoken, but he always seems like such a sweetheart who just cares about everybody so much. I don't know. I feel like
he's so interesting. There's so many things that he does. I'm just like, whoa, what? It was really fun to listen to.
I love
Paul's a really good interviewer too. He just really, you can tell he really is interested in what, finding out new things about him and not just something that we've all seen on the internet. So
yeah, he is really good at that. Like, he's just like, he's so genuine. He just wants to know more about the person that he's interviewing, like you said. So good.
It was definitely a fun time. I think it's good because it got us all back in the place of mind where we were like a month ago when we watched the finale. It just always brings it back up. And so we're all ready to talk about it again. I always think it's actually probably a good thing that we waited a month, because we all would have been flipping out and too excited to have a coherent conversation a month ago. So this is probably good. That's probably a good place to start. So anyone else have anything else they want to say about the interview before we dive right into our recap?
Cool cushions.
I know. I wanted to see that cushion. I was like, I want to see the cushion. I have to see this pillow.
The flea market.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that had to see the flea market pillow. I just love how much he cares too. Like, that's what's so special about this cast, is that they actually care. And I think that's what drove a lot of us to want to do this podcast too, is just to put some positive feedback out there, whether they ever listen to it or not. At least like we're putting that positively on the universe, that we like adore them, adore the show. adore the actors and how giving they
Yeah.
are.
Someone said on our Instagram that we're just making them even more excited for season 9, and I'm like,
Aw.
that's great. If that's all we can
That's
do,
so nice
that's
to
great
say.
with me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the best compliment ever. It's like to
Yeah.
keep the energy
Mm.
going in between instead of
Yeah.
like during the
Yeah.
season when it's happening. It's like to keep it going until next year. So
Yeah.
I think that's great in the off season to still be so excited. All right. Well, shall we go back to Hope Valley?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Sure.
Good.
All right. It's a new morning, right? Elizabeth has just taken off her rings the night before. The sun is shining. It's a new day. Elizabeth is getting ready for her first day of school. But meanwhile, Lucas Bouchard is sitting at a table in the Queen of Hearts holding a pen and looking at the deed to the saloon. So what do we think was happening here and what was going through his head? Blanca, what do you think?
I think he was obviously considering selling the saloon, which I'm glad to say, because I'm pretty confident he didn't. So that's a good thing. And I think this moment was supposed to make us feel a little bit worried about that possibility of, losing the Queen of Hearts.
Did you scream at your
but I didn't think
television?
he did.
Don't do it.
No, I wasn't really worried. I was, I don't know, but I think from, for the whole season, I was confident in our endgame, and selling the saloon wouldn't really make sense with that outcome, right? With Elizabeth and Lucas getting together. So
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah,
I love Hearts.
I was relaxed. I wasn't
We're
worried.
always so
Blanca's
relaxed.
just like,
the rest of us are like freaking
Yeah.
out, and you're always
Dead.
like, okay.
It was like popcorn.
Not relaxed. Anybody else get like stressed out as they were
Yeah.
watching that?
I was like,
No, I kind of expected it. Like I
Yeah.
expected,
Right.
because of the preview that they showed us, I knew when, she's running after.
Mhm.
So I knew it was for like the drama factor.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of go back and forth as to whether you actually signed it or not. And in some ways, I think that he maybe did sign it, but ultimately, I don't think it was ever executed.
Okay.
Because, one of the things that, and even Chris kind of hinted, which we'll get to in a bit, is about the Henry scene really being pivotal. Pivotal. Hello. Pivotal. Hello. And so I think that it made him change what whether he was going to leave or not. Right. That's just my opinion. So, I mean,
Belinda,
I
you
can see
think
him
he
not
could have
signing
signed it?
I think he might have signed it.
Okay. You think he might have signed it, kind of fold it up, put it in his pocket, but not turn it in?
Well, we'll get to that eventually.
Linda, I think we're on the same page here.
Oh, really?
I think you're on to my revelation.
Okay.
Really?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. We'll be patient. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, but if we ever lose the Queen of Hearts, and we were just talking about this before we started the podcast, if we all lose Gustav and Lucas,
No.
That'd be so
like,
sad.
they are a match made in heaven. Like
Yeah.
it's like the proper man with the French chef. But you're just
Yeah.
asking for beautiful humor every day. Like
We need cooking classes.
I feel like someone was starting a hashtag that said more Gustav at one point.
Oh, we should.
I'll do
Let's
that.
I love
Everybody
it.
listening. More
Yeah.
Gustav.
More
Hashtag
Gustav.
More Gustav.
It's like a
Is there
hashtag
an
we
E?
can all get behind.
Is there an E at the end or no? Because
I
I
sometimes
never
put an
know.
E, but like
so we have to establish. I think there's an E at the end.
I think
I
let's
think
look at
there's
the
an E too.
credits. Let's
think
look at
so.
the
Let's look at the
credits.
credits. We'll figure
Maybe
it out
a
and
viewer
we'll do-
could be our dramaturg and let us know. Like look that up
Yeah,
for us. And
Let us know.
leave
Is
a
there an
comment.
E or no?
Let us know if there's an E, because that way when we're talking, we can picture a silent E or not.
Well, and whatever it is, we'll do the hashtag more Gustav, but it has to be all the same. We're doing it.
Mhm.
We're doing it.
I love it.
It starts today. Well, so from the intensity of the saloon to the very happy time at Elizabeth's house, she is there. Robert's there to babysit, which is super adorable. And she gives Robert an invitation to deliver to Lucas Bouchard, and it has his name on the envelope. So what do you think of that invitation? Div, I feel like you were saying something about that earlier.
Um, I think a lot of us kind of predicted this was going to happen. Oh my gosh, I'm saying that a lot. But I thought it was really cute. I love that it just said
That makes
Lucas.
sense.
And then I
Yeah.
love that, but you know, when she's referring to him to Robert, she says Mr. Bouchard.
Sure.
It's
Mhm,
cute.
mhm.
And then I love the way she kind of like presents it to him, like she holds it out. She's like, it's important, Robert. You know, like she
Oh, you're right. She does, doesn't she?
she does. And it's so
Oh,
cute.
cute.
And she's like kind of nervous a little bit. Like you can tell internally, she's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm handing this over now.
Butterflies.
But it was really cute. I really liked it. And I think it's good for Robert to get used to Mr. Bouchard, you know, especially now. Be acquainted
If he's
with
going to
him.
be babysitting sometimes, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Robert's
Or
gonna
doing-
be babysitting his stepson. Just saying.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're almost there anyway.
Sure, totally. I love it. And we all think that the invitation, are we all on the same page? We all think the invitation was for what we see later, like the
Mhm.
library.
Yeah.
I feel like we
Yeah.
talked about this some
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For the letter.
Mhm.
And she's
Mhm.
working on the grand gesture, but doesn't know that meanwhile he's
Yeah.
thinking about
All these-
selling.
Mm.
Just stress us out. Well, to stress out everyone except Blanca. Let's say that.
Yes.
Blanca's just like
I was
popcorn.
like, yeah.
Bring it. Okay. So I think the next thing that happens is I think that's when we see Lucas Leadless Luna run into Henry, isn't it? And then Henry says his big, beautiful line. You know, they have their conversation and Lucas is begging him not to leave. And that's, you know, when Henry says to Lucas, you know, what gives you comfort when the darkness has wrung all the light
Mm.
from the day?
Mhm.
Such a good line.
Mhm.
So what do we think about Henry and Lucas having that talk there?
I love that
Little
scene.
moment.
I just love the that relationship. I love the bond they have
Mhm.
built over the time
Mhm.
they've been working together, and I really like both characters individually. So to see them together, it's for me it's a treat. I mean, I love them, and this
Yeah.
scene was really good, I think, and really
was a
important
good
in terms
scene.
of the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Did anyone see where in an interview Chris was saying that like Henry, the actor who portrays him, Martin Cummings, he likes to
Rewrite.
sorry? What? Yes, right, rewrite. Yes, like he likes to ask if he can put his hand on that. So he
Mm.
kind of wrote that line himself,
Mhm.
which is so poetic. Like, and didn't Chris say in an interview that that's what convinces Lucas to stay? Is that conversation with
Mhm.
Henry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like their bond too because I feel like not a lot of people bond with Henry, but
Mhm.
Lucas says like, I like you. I don't know why I like you, but I
Yes.
like you.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
love that
like,
when
he
they're sitting
has
on the bench.
Yeah. And I
That's
feel
such a
like
cute
Elizabeth
scene.
has that same bond with
Yeah.
Henry. So I feel like Lucas and
Mhm.
Elizabeth have that sort of, I don't know, that unique bond with him. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you think part of the reason that Lucas likes Henry is because Elizabeth likes him so much and trusts him, and that makes Lucas like and trust him even more? Because they kind of go through that in season 7, where you know he's really a little upset with Henry, but then he's like, you know, Elizabeth trusts him, and I
Yeah.
trust her, and
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
a good point. Mm.
It
For
is.
me, I feel like they hit it off right from the start though, right? Like
Mm.
from that shrewd businessman. kinda.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
They
I
do.
think
Yeah.
Henry's one of the first
Outsider.
people he meets, like, or like
Mhm.
kind of aligns himself with. It was season 6, episode 3, where he was like, I hope I didn't, you know, offend Abigail. And then Henry kind of tells him, okay, no, this is how Abigail works. And then right after that, we have the oil partnership. So I think they already kind of had something going, like they had like a camaraderie going. And then obviously Elizabeth liking him, that's just gonna cement it even more.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's
I
true.
like all the dynamics.
Yeah.
They do have their kerfuffles, as we say. But yeah.
Yeah.
Every relationship
Yeah.
does. Every
Yeah,
friendship
that's
hits a
true.
bump. But I do like that they move past it. They really respect each other too, I think, in a
Mhm.
lot of ways. Even bumps aside. Like I kind of love that, like that conversation really sunk into Lucas,
Mhm.
and whether
Yeah.
or not he signed the deed, which I guess we'll discuss, and tucked it in or didn't. At least we kind of know in retrospect that that's what convinced him, but we still don't know completely as the audience at this point. Because at this point, I think the next time we see Lucas, he's just driving away in his car. And I think, is that before or after the school day scene? Is that after the school?
It's
That beautiful scene?
before the end of the school day, but I feel like it's happening simultaneously a little bit.
Yeah, during
we
all that that's
see-
happening, the
Mhm.
better together and all of that.
Yeah. But we
So some
see
time has gone by.
Lucas. Yeah, we see Lucas drive before we see Elizabeth saying, her goodbyes to her students.
Perfect. Because it is like a whole, I mean, I know there's like the whole day where Robert's with little Jack, the students, the better together. Super great scene. We could probably have a
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
podcast
it's so
about
good.
that scene.
I know. I
So
was like,
good.
do we even I feel like we should talk about that, but it doesn't have
But
to do with Lucas and Elizabeth, but it's so good. It's such a
It's
good
so good.
scene
All
when
the
they
other
all
scenes
come
are
to-
so good.
Yeah,
We can have
so
a whole
good.
nother podcast just devoted to everybody else.
Yeah,
I think,
we
and
could.
maybe we will. I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. But I do think that, yeah, so so we're already feeling happy and emotional and everything. Okay, so Lucas is about to leave his car and drives out of town. It almost runs over Lee. And also when Robert comes back to the school is when Elizabeth sees that he didn't deliver the invitation.
Mhm.
Too.
Mhm.
So that's, she says, why didn't you deliver the invitation to Mr. Bouchard or something? And he said, what does he say? The saloon doors were locked and he tried and he couldn't.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
Mhm,
Even
mhm.
the saloon doors were locked, he said.
Mhm.
Okay. So the doors are locked. Lucas drives away. He almost runs over to Lee. And then panic ensues and Elizabeth goes into town looking for Lucas, right?
Mhm.
Elizabeth goes
Yeah.
into town. And then she runs after him down the street through the middle of town after all the panic and knocking on the doors of the saloon, but it's seemingly too late and he's gone. Elizabeth is left staying all alone in the middle of the street, out of breath and looking heartbroken. It was just such a sad moment for her. So what I feel like that scene, when we talked about it before, I feel like that leads us into really well into like the timeline and some of the points that people were talking about throughout the day.
Mhm.
Was that some of the
Okay.
timeline points you wanted to make?
Yeah. Okay. So is this where I should talk about my revelation?
Sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
unless you want me to
Tell
fast
us.
forward to the bridge.
No,
Like, I don't know.
I want to talk about it.
To that cliffhanger. I don't
Okay.
know.
So I had this revelation like a week ago, and I was going to talk about it on the last episode, but we never got to it. And I was like, oh, I haven't told anybody, but I thought that nobody had talked about it yet. But then I saw somebody talk about it yesterday. So I was like, oh no, I'm not the first one. And maybe I'm totally late to the game. Maybe somebody has had this whole conversation. I don't know. But when I was watching it again, so I wonder, what if Lucas signed the deed? Because at that point, he still didn't know that Elizabeth loved him, right?
Right.
Mhm.
He hasn't
Right.
heard from her.
The next day.
Hasn't heard from her. So what if he signed the deed over and then he talked to Henry and Henry asked him, like, what brings you comfort at night? And he's like, oh gosh, I have to go fight for Elizabeth one more time.
Oh.
And then, so when he's driving out of town, he is like in a hurry, right? He almost runs over
mhm,
Lee
Mhm.
and he's like,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
flustered. So what if he's in a hurry to leave town to go chase after Wyman Walden to reverse what he signed, to be like, never mind, I don't want to go through with it.
Oh.
Right? And then if he goes and finds him, which,
Ugh.
Wyman Walden seems like a scary kind of, I don't know.
Yes. I did see the
Businessman,
discussion you're talking
but-
about once you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we know that he gave Clara and Jesse back their money. So
Yeah.
maybe he would be like, okay, I understand. Let's reverse the deal or whatever. And then coming back from that, he comes back and can't find Elizabeth and goes and looks for her at the bridge. I don't know. That's my revelation. I don't know. Maybe people have already thought about that.
Sort of where I was going. Basically the same, only I thought maybe we don't know that it's really Wyman that he was selling it to either. So it could have been anybody, maybe somebody more forgiving or whatnot that would buy it from him. Maybe it wasn't Wyman, but it could have been Wyman, like you say. Maybe he has a bigger heart than people realize. I don't know.
I think we were just
maybe
assuming
it's
because that's
just
who
one
was
of
meeting in the
those.
cafe.
Yeah, they did meet in the cafe. But yeah, maybe it's just one of those like we can, people could change or kind of things. Like we see that all the time in Hope Valley. So
Yeah,
don't
I mean, when Henry was heading out of town, he had a whole bunch of luggage in the back of his car, and Lucas had nothing.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, he didn't have any
wasn't
luggage.
going
So
anywhere
maybe he
from
was.
what I can gather.
He wasn't leaving town. He was just going to.
He had a mission.
I mean, if they didn't write that, then someone behind the scenes should probably take note and do that because that sounds really good. I think you might want to be like an intern writer for a day. Be like, I'll up your stakes.
I'll just fill in all the gaps. People are like, what happened?
I mean,
here?
isn't that what you
This
do?
is what happened.
You have to a little bit. I saw because I always had this headcanon. I'm like, okay, well, obviously he didn't go straight to the bridge, like because time went by. Like I'm like, he must have like gone to the school and just missed her at the school and gone to her house.
That's what I
thought.
thought.
And that was where my headcanon was, to be honest.
Me too. I thought that he was in a hurry to find Elizabeth, not to find Wyman. But that was my, I don't know. That was my take.
But if he's in a hurry to find Elizabeth, would he be driving in his car?
And heading out.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know the map.
I think the horses for Lucas are just for romantic horseback rides. Okay, so I think it makes sense. We could debate either one. I think that's what's fun is like filling in the gaps sometimes with friends of like, did he go to Wyman? Did he go to the grocery store? Did he brush his teeth? Like what did he do in between? So much. So he's racing out of his car. And then poor Elizabeth hopefully eventually catches her breath from running down the street and either takes the world's longest walk or a horse or something to go out to the bridge where she wants to be alone. And then comes the big, amazing moment. They didn't even make us wait for it. It happened so fast, like where he's out of focus.
Yeah, thankfully.
I don't know about you, but I thought that like out of focus moment was like the best thing I ever saw. I'd love for all of you to say something too, but I also I love the comments that people made. But I mean, I think this whole bridge scene, like we can break it down to like Elizabeth's all alone, Lucas out of focus, they see each other, they kiss, the conversation, more kissing, best scene we've ever seen in our lives, right?
So much kissing.
So tell me your reaction when he was like there and out of focus. Tell me you freaked out as much as I did.
You go.
Jillian. Jillian's got her big eyes right now.
I feel like
did you
my
scream?
screen just lit up, but I didn't say anything. It was just like, I just picked up on my face.
It's a sign.
I don't even really remember. I think I was just like, what? Like, yeah, I was definitely screaming. I mean, I expected it to happen, but it was just like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
I can't even, I'm sure you all feel or felt the same way that I did.
It's still
like you
surreal
just can't
to
even.
me. There's still a moment where I'm like, I can't believe this is really happening, and I'm not imagining this. Like
right.
Now.
Yeah.
Like it's still surreal. Like it shouldn't be. I've watched it 500 times, but it's still like. What about you? What about you, Linda?
Oh, I mean, just the way they kind of came into the whole scene with the framing of the autumn leaves and then her reflection in the water as she's reflecting on what she thinks is losing Lucas is just, and then you see him. I had always kind of imagined that he would, she would turn around and he'd be behind her. So it was close enough for me when I saw him coming into focus over there. It was just took my breath away. It was gorgeous. And
did everyone want it to be at the bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was hoping for the bridge. I was like, it has to be the bridge.
It's their place.
It's their place.
Although
we kept watching the promos, the bridge ahead of time. We were all like, it's going to be at the bridge.
Yeah.
Be at the bridge.
I think there was a poll, right? I think there was a poll. Didn't Hallmark did Hallmark do a poll about what do you think? No, maybe it wasn't Hallmark. I don't know. But I think I saw a poll on Twitter about
It was one of the fans.
Was
Oh,
it?
yes,
Okay.
that makes
more
sense.
SC Heart and Home does a lot
That would have been
too,
kind of,
where they have-
you know, spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
Hallmark
Yeah, makes
kind of a
makes more
giveaway.
sense.
Yeah, but I think that picture of the bridge where you're all like,
Right.
We knew.
Yeah,
They released
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
there were
We
so
all
many people
figured
who
it out.
wanted the library though, but I'm glad that none of us did.
We did.
wanted
We
the
got
bridge.
both.
kinda
I
got
mean,
I
both.
did.
we did.
We
get
had
both.
both,
It
but
worked out.
we wanted the bridge first, and that's what we
Yeah.
got. So it was
Yeah.
perfect.
It
What
was
did you think,
perfect.
Div or Blanca? I guess. Sorry, Div first.
Blanca did.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
Blanca, Div.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would be bridge. I thought, okay, and that's it. We're done. Like I did not expect part 2 in the library,
Right.
but you know what? Yay. I just did not want it to be in her row house. So I'm really happy that Chris and Aaron were like, no, this has to be romantic. It has to feel like, you know, it's their place. So thank you to them. I actually went back and I watched Elizabeth right after Jack died. So the episode right after she finds out he
you're
died.
brave.
I'm sorry. I went in and this
It's
was
like a
like
reset from my memory.
this is for like expression purposes, just to kind of do a comparison. And her
Mhm.
face, that like somberness on her face, is that I don't know if that's a word, but anyway,
Yes,
that
yes.
solemnness on her face, even it's like it's the same as when she steps into the graveyard and kind of looks around. It was the exact same face where
Wow.
you can tell that she's cried. You can't see the tear trails or anything, but you can tell she cried. You can tell that it really hit her. And it just kind of took me back to the same thing. And it made me think, well, yeah, it's like she lost the man that she loves again. But
Yeah. Oh, that's so good, Div. Good
I
job.
think she
Yeah.
lost him. I felt so sorry for
Yeah.
her in that moment. I think that's why
Yeah.
it's good that they showed her first before they put like her standing there looking so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
She's been through so much.
Aww.
And it's not like she was doing anything wrong that day. She was just going to work. You know, she didn't know that like all this other stuff was happening with Lucas. It's not like she was ignoring him or something.
no,
You know,
Right.
so I felt really badly for her, but boy, did I love seeing him out of focus. I don't hope you guys don't mind because I talked about this. I printed off some of the comments that people make because I like love when people have comments. So we were going to do some of that from time to time and kind of dip into our little Lucas library. But like, I love some of the things that people said. When they saw it, they said, I definitely gasped and started crying. I squealed and got teary-eyed. I was screaming, clapping, and laughing and smacking my husband on the shoulder. I stopped breathing. My heart stopped. I think I might have hyperventilated. Oh my God. I was out of control. I jumped up and did a little dance. My heart skipped a beat and I almost fainted. I seriously started
Wow.
bawling. I rarely cry. I was jumping up and down and screaming. When I saw him come into focus, man, I gasped and jumped out of my bed. And this one I thought was so funny. My mom and I were cheering, clapping, and saying, there he is. And this one said, I started screaming, then I cried a little, clapped, and I scared my poor dog.
that's the same as me, but I don't think I typed that.
That was someone else. I can tell you that right now. But I love that so many people scared their pets. My husband was like not watching the show, but just turned and watched me. And I was just like, I think he finds my reactions more entertaining. I'm just glad nobody recorded me. I'm sure it was embarrassing, but I love that like so many people were like on the same page of just freaking out. So
Yeah.
tell me, Blanca, you at least freaked out like some of these people, right? You gotta tell me. a
Well,
little bit.
actually, no, I didn't because when I first watched, I think I told you this. I had to wake up earlier to watch before going to
that's
work because I wasn't
right.
going
Yes.
to go to work
Because you live in
obviously.
Spain and you're
Exactly.
like 7 hours ahead of us. So what time was it then? 10 in the morning. It was like 5 in the morning for you, right?
Yeah, so of course I didn't find out live. I was
Yeah, you had to,
patient
like,
and I
quickly
went to bed.
Sign online and
Exactly.
read the comments.
Yeah, and the next morning, I woke up about half an hour earlier in order to find out what had happened and how, and see the highlights and everything. So, but
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I was sleep deprived, so I think my mind wasn't 100% functional, so to speak.
Well, that's why it's so good that Hallmark puts it online, so that we
Yeah,
can all watch it later
thankfully.
over and over and over
True.
again. And
But I feel
less
that
than a minute.
it wasn't until I got out of work and watched with a more clear head that I don't know, that I fully enjoyed it as the rest of you, I'm assuming, did, right? It
Oh,
was so
yeah.
good. Wow.
So he's out of focus. They see each other, they run to each other, and instead of anything else, it's just the kiss of the century. Or as Hallmark describes the scene, Elizabeth and Lucas share a kiss worth the wait. So what do we think of the best, most anticipated kiss of all time?
I can't put it into words. Someone else go first.
Blanca, you go first this time. Be excited.
It was, I think, to me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, it was very satisfying. It was like, yes, we deserve this. And it was,
We do
it was so
deserve
good
it.
that we had, several in the same scene. It was like, yes, we need more. It's more
It was
as you can give
amazing.
us. Yeah. And the dialogue was so good, right?
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I kind of expected them to maybe hug or something else first, but it was like, no,
Yeah.
they just went for that kiss. Like it was so cinematic and it was so perfect that it was just like, wow.
Oh, good.
Like it
They
blew
just
my mind.
they just knew, like they didn't have to exchange any words. They just knew that they were ready,
Yeah.
and they were just like, ah!
I know. I love that. I love how they're each taking those deep breaths. She turns and looks at him. He looks at her. It's like deep breath, and then just boom. Like it's just.
And the music was so beautiful. Oh,
It was like
It was
3
so
years of
beautiful.
emotion.
Yeah.
3 years.
I
of
don't know if
much.
anybody is a Moulin Rouge fan, but the
Yes.
two notes when they kiss, the two notes that happen right then are the same notes in Come What May from Moulin Rouge. And
wow.
that was like my wedding song. Like that was like our first dance at my wedding. So I was like, it's Come What May. Then it was another song, but it was like those two notes. It was so good.
it was so beautiful.
Someone did that in a
So
parallel video
beautiful.
too. Did you see that one? So it just,
Yeah.
I feel like it hits all those notes. Oh, it was so good. And it was so romantic. And I love how like they kissed. And then, he starts to say, when I did it for you, I thought perhaps. And he's like, no. And then he just keeps kissing her. Like they're conversing, but he's just going to keep going. I feel like
It was
everybody
so
was even
romantic.
voting on which kiss. We're like, which kiss was your favorite? We're all like, that kiss that he does after while she's talking, he's moving his head. That kiss. We're like, that one was
Yeah.
my favorite kiss.
No, that wasn't mine. Was that everybody's?
No.
Yes. Oh, really? Oh, that was
The
my
bridge
favorite.
one. Okay, for the bridge, I like the
For the
last.
bridge.
I like the last two, especially the last one. That was my favorite, actually.
Yeah, those were good. It's really hard to pick a favorite. There's
no wrong answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's no wrong answer. No.
It was all good kissing. It was such good kissing. I loved it
That's
so
one where
much.
he like interrupts her with a kiss. She's like, I thought
That
you
one.
left, and he's just like, rah! Like,
Yeah, and he's like, no.
I mean,
And he's like, still.
but then at the end too. Okay, we'll get there.
No, it's so good. Like, I have to read some of these comments again that I got because everyone, if you're listening and or watching, it's like I love what everyone says together. Like people are saying those kisses are fire. I'll keep saying the rest of my life it's perfect. I lost count how many times I watched the scene. Wow, it was passionate and emotional, heart touching, best moment in television history, absolutely beautiful. Could not have asked for a better finale. It was magical and a special ending. I love the romance and the passion. Best moment in the history of Hallmark. What a beautiful moment. So cinematic and so magical and so worth the wait. I think worth the wait is the key one there. Like they had a lot to deliver on after like the scene in the car and the scene in her office. It's like they knew at that point that they'd kind of teased us 2 times and really had to deliver.
I don't know if it would have been as good if we didn't have to wait that long for it.
I agree.
It's like the triangle went on a really long time,
Exactly.
but it made the kiss really good.
It did.
It did, because there was so much behind it then. It wasn't just I'm attracted to. It was like they were there, completely. I think that's what makes it so special. And then they have their little talk and he notices that like she's taken off her rings. Which like, what do you think of their little conversation there where he looks down, he looks up and notices she's taken them off and she says, thank you for waiting for me.
Yep, that was my favorite part of the whole thing. I mean, even from the start, it was just that she finally saw that or he finally saw that she had taken off those rings, and just the look on his face, and then her thanking him for waiting for her was just, it was perfect for me. So
Mhm, mhm.
Wasn't it,
definitely.
Linda? Didn't
And
you
then,
love how he looked
yeah,
down
the
and
whole
saw
kid.
it? Because she had her hand up on him, and
Yeah.
he looks
Oh, yeah.
down and like sees it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. it's
I
so
love that he noticed right away, because looking back, he never says anything about her rings, but
Mm-mm.
the fact that he noticed right away just shows us that he has always noticed that she's wearing her ring
True.
still,
Right.
but he's never pushed her. He's never been like, hey, when are you going to take off your rings? Or,
Right.
you know, when are you going to be over this? Or when are you going to, but he notices. So
Yeah.
that moment, like he notices right away. And it's like, oh,
He's been
It's so
cognizant of
good.
that fact all along. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of the reason he's been so patient too, and so kind and understanding.
Mhm.
It's
I think
so
it's
sweet.
I think it's the most passionate kiss on the show ever. Like
Totally.
I went back and I watched the kisses for the other couples, especially Jack and Elizabeth. Sorry, my dear Jillian, but I did.
No, I agree.
Just
They're
to like
different.
kind of
It's different.
just to kind of get a comparison. Like I
Mhm.
watched them all and I was like, okay, because they had moments, right? Like really emotional moments. I'm talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
Elizabeth and Jack. But this was
Yeah.
just like I did not expect it to be like this high. Like, and and it wasn't just one, right? It was 5.
Yeah.
And 5 in the bridge, and then 5 on the bridge, and then 5 in the library. And it was just like, and they just kind of kept going. And I just it kind of shocked me. Like I just didn't I think maybe I don't think my expectations were low, but they exceeded them anyway.
They did exceed expectations.
Crazy.
It was so
Yeah.
good. It's like the people have said it's the best kiss they've ever seen on Hallmark. The best kisses between them, and like I don't know how you could disagree with that. It was it was beautiful passion. Like it was perfect. Like they love each other. And the stakes are higher this time. Like not that she didn't love, I mean, she loved Jack just as much, but it was different. She wasn't a widow then. She wasn't going through so much. It wasn't that she thought she was going to lose this man she was already in love with. Lucas and Elizabeth have been through like a lot. So I mean, there's all that pent up too. It's not just I like you too, I'm attracted to you. Like there's so much more going on with the two of them.
Well, and really, no, I totally agree, and I'm not offended by that at all. I totally agree. I mean, I think Jack and Elizabeth had some pretty passionate kisses for Hallmark, but this was like, come on, there's nothing that compares to this.
Yeah.
And I feel like
10 out of 10.
Yeah. And Jack and Elizabeth, their first kiss was season 1, so they had just one season. This was like 3 full seasons where they knew each other.
A lot of build up.
It was a lot of build up. Yeah. It was a lot of build up. It was so good. I'm so glad that Hallmark let them do it that way, because I feel like it's kind of out of the box.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But it's appropriate, I think, for where I think we all agree it's like appropriate. It's like we're kind of like, good for you. Thank you for finally giving us what we deserve. Like, do not hold it back. We can handle this. We are adult women. We are here for it. Like, do it. So like,
well, and like they said in an interview too, it's like, Hallmark movies are an hour and a half long. So
the people are barely getting to know each other.
Yeah, the people have known each other for 2 days, and they're like, oh, I think I love you. But this is 3 years. 3 years.
3 years.
Of just pent up emotion. So it's got to be bigger than just like a peck on the lips at the credits,
That would have been they would have not have stuck the landing if they would have done that. I think we'd have all gone, okay, like I guess we'll tune in season 9. Instead it was just, I think of Molly jumping up after like, huzzah! It was a full hearty huzzah, like at that moment.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
So good. And I'm so glad, like Div, you mentioned it earlier. Thank goodness they filmed it there, because I mean, when I heard those interviews later, and we're all like, oh, it's so sweet and romantic. And and they're asking, what was it like for you guys? They're like, actually, it was like a really dangerous day, and we all thought our lives were in danger, but we really felt like it was important. Everyone's like, what? So, I mean, and if anyone hasn't heard some of these interviews, like you have to listen to these behind the scenes interviews that they've done where they talk about the branches and the falling bad weather and the crew want to switch locations, and Aaron Chris saying like, no, I think it shows how much, I think you said that partly this, like how much Chris and Aaron care about us and care about their characters and care about the show and wanted to deliver. And we're like, no, it has to be here. I mean, how many people would care? Like they a part of them so much is Lucas and Elizabeth, and they're so fully immersed and they're so invested. And then I also love that the director and the crew listen to them. Doesn't that show what a beautiful collaborative environment it must be to be like, you know what, they're right. They care about this. Let's give it a try. You know, I can only imagine what it's like on a set. It's like the set and what happens behind the scenes is so much like Hope Valley.
Yep.
You know? And it was just directed so incredibly beautiful. I mean, do you think it would have been the same if it had been anywhere else?
No, because I think they were talking about like having to move it to her row house, and I can't. That would have been a no.
No.
It's like
Yeah,
not.
it wouldn't have been
thing.
stunning. That's why I'm obsessed with the bridge setting, obviously by my backdrop. It's not my house. I feel like I should establish that at some point. This is a Hallmark backdrop that you can download, and then you can live in the bridge all day long and live vicariously in the world of Lucas and Elizabeth. On the best moment ever. So does anyone have any beautiful final thoughts about the bridge scene before we move on to like the bonus scene? Like, please,
I wanted to discuss Lucas's line when he says, "You're all that matters," because to me, that was sort of his answer to his own question when he asked Henry. Then what does matter? What does matter, right?
What does matter to him?
What does matter
to him?
Excellent point.
And to me, you know, when he talked to Henry, he kept thinking that, you know, about that question, and the obvious answer was Elizabeth to him. So that's why I thought he went looking for her, and he felt he needed to tell her that line. You know, you're all that matters to me. So beautiful.
So
romantic.
It's so true. It's so perfect because it is just like we were just saying with Henry, and that was the moment. So of course they put it into the dialogue there. That's why he says you're all that matters.
And you know what?
So good.
I'm going to throw this out there because I think there was another side of our fandom that was thinking, you know, well, I might as well say it. Nathan was like Gilbert Blythe, but that scene was like a recreation of Anne of Avonlea. The movie version, at least it was that bridge kiss, you know, where they finally
come together.
Like, exactly. And that was Gilbert and Anne for me anyway.
For everyone.
For us, romantic.
So that was
wise.
if we're looking at who was like Gilbert from the show, you know, based on like the little hints that were given, I think Elizabeth gave Angela Canfield Anne of the Island like episode, I don't know, earlier into the season. So I think that kind of sparked this conversation of, well, is one of the guys like that? Well, who got the bridge scene? And you know, who has the literature thing in common with Elizabeth? So anyway.
Literature in common, and he always puts her first, which I think was such a, like, you could do so many parallel things there, but really it's like that's what
so many. True.
So he always puts her first. It's always like she's the most important thing in person to Lucas. Elizabeth is, and then he shows that. And so I think that if you go by personality, I would agree with you that he's so much like that beloved character. And maybe that's why seeing this scene like feels so familiar. I don't know. There was something that was very familiar to me about seeing the bridge. I feel like that's probably the upside of COVID, right? It's like they were finding outdoor locations.
My thoughts so exactly. I thought the very same thing. Yeah, it was like a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, COVID, for bringing us the bridge. Otherwise, I mean, I know it's much easier to film indoors. I get it. You know, you can control the lighting and the sound, and you don't have branches trying to kill you and throw you in the water. But you know, the upside is you get the most cinematically beautiful, you know, kiss in history, so beautifully directed by Peter DeLuise. It was just perfection, like perfection. I have no criticism.
Before we move on from the bridge kiss, I want to just note how cute it was when he said, you've taken off your rings, and she's like, thank you for waiting for me, and he just like looks at her and he just smiles, and she just smiles this huge smile. I just feel like that part might be my favorite part of the bridge scene. It's so cute. And then he just goes in for the kiss because he's like, I know that you're ready, because you took off your rings. You know, it's like they kiss, they know they're ready, but like the rings are like, she's really
important.
ready.
Yep.
I love it.
It was good. And, you know, they threw in so many little parts of conversation. Like so many of us just kept hearkening back to Union City with that conversation where he said he wait as long as he can. And we knew patience had to come back into play. That was their theme. You know, it was always patience. And when they were sitting in the church, you know, watching Florence and Ned get married, you know, and Joseph was speaking about patience. And they turned to look at each other. It's like, so we all
patience was always their theme.
It had to come back. Yeah. So I love that when he says, like, I told you I would wait as long as I had to. And I love that they refer back to the season 7 day. Union City was my favorite episode. Like, I love
good.
Wasn't there an edit? I think someone might have posted an edit for Kissiversary. I could be wrong.
Oh, where it shows the conversation. I hope so, because I'm here for it. Like, I just love that he says, I told you I would wait as long as I had to. And I'm like, I just felt like that dinner for them was so important. So I love that they referenced to it. Like, oh my gosh, that he would wait as long as he had to for them. And then I love the report where she like kind of teases him a little. She's like, you were ready to leave, you know? And he
when she pushes him. It's so cute.
But she's not mad, you know, she's like,
it was playful.
And he just laughed.
Cute.
I know. And really, he was only leaving because he was trying to do like the right thing. Like he was like, well, I'm sure you don't want to see your ex-boyfriend around town, so I'll just pack up my stuff, even though I love it here.
Move
and I'll,
away.
you know, so it really wasn't running away by a stretch of the imagination. You know, it was just he was like, well, it didn't work, and I'll leave. You know, and so I don't know. I just thought it was so perfect, like so perfectly bookended to go back to the Union City and the patience, and then like bookended with Henry. And that talk, like I love how
the writing was so good
together
in this scene.
So good.
Oh,
so good.
Thank you, John Tinker.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
We're so grateful.
So grateful. I love that it was more than just a kiss. Like it did have that conversation and see that
it was deep and meaningful. Yeah.
It was perfect.
So rewarding in every way. Oh,
which we all deserved, because I feel like we just been rooting for them. I feel like on another level since practically like I mean most of us were like Lucas and Elizabeth fans in season 6, but then you know once we had the Union City moments and the library moments, it was like how can I not
game over. It's like game over. The Union City day was game over. Come on.
Oh my gosh. And so I mean really they could have just ended the season right there. It could have been like that's the end, you know, roll credits and see you next year.
We got a bonus clip. Bonus scene.
It was such a bonus scene. I never in a million years. Yeah, because I do know we had big debate, library bridge. And then we're like, we're gonna get both. We're gonna get both.
Yeah, both.
It's so almost spoiled. Like too much to hope for. It's kind of we're like, so after the phenomenal bridge scene, I think then we all are so excited to get this bonus scene that we were not expecting. And Lucas finally, we assume, gets his invitation to show up at their library for a private reading. I love how it was written out on the little chalkboard, you know, private reading. And he enters, and there is Elizabeth for her big grand gesture to invite him in to share the galley form of her book. So how excited were we to see this? It was so beautiful.
I felt like we were so spoiled with this extra little scene. I was like, what? There's more?
I know. And for a while, I just lived in because it's been a month now, so we can just say that. It's not like we're doing this the night after it happens. Like I was living at the bridge for a long time. Like I was just living in the bridge scene. And so in some ways, the library, because it was so exciting, right? It's so exciting. Yeah. That's the one that's up on Hallmark YouTube. And then it's like the more time that goes by, the more I'm like, so falling in love with this library scene. Like it's so beautiful and so romantic. Like the first night I think I was just so like kiss another in the library, you know. But now we can like slow down a little and just appreciate this gorgeous scene and dissect it for all that it is, because man, is it beautiful. And that reminds me, I have to switch to my champagne. Woo, bye teacup.
The scenes are so different too. You know, you had one that was just full of just 100%
Yes.
passion, and
Mhm.
then the other
Yeah.
one is just romantic and
Yeah.
It's such a like a taste of what's to come. Like now we're going to be past all the sadness. And so it's almost like they could have saved that for season 9, but I'm so glad they didn't.
Oh
I'm
my
so
gosh.
glad that it was like right
I
there.
I think besides the fact that Elizabeth and Lucas are not together, I feel like the best part about the whole finale was like seeing that bubbly Elizabeth like
Yeah.
happy and excited
Yeah,
again.
like she's
I'm
back.
so
She's
happy to see
back.
that.
Yeah.
I've missed it so much. Yeah.
Grief is hard, and so it's like, and
Yeah.
to see this and then for them to be in their library, and he had done that beautiful gesture for her when she was going to get published, where he said, now if this was a date, I'd offer you some champagne, and she was,
Yeah.
and it was so cute, that moment. So I love that this harkened back to it, like it was
Yeah.
it was a second bookend for all of us, really, with just back to that, because those were their two most important
Mhm.
scenes in season 7. So it was just so
Right.
nice to get back into the library. And it was so beautiful, like her dress and the candles, and just stunning. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. I actually wrote down some of the words like that they said, like, because I love that she said, it's a love story about a man who is patient and kind and thoughtful and adoring.
Adoring. I love the
What
way she looks
perfect
when she
words.
says that. I mean, the look on her face when she says adoring, it doesn't feel like acting. It's like it's so real. It's like I don't know if it felt for you that way, but I don't know. It was so good, and the same thing happened to me when he says the things he likes about her, or her virtues, or whatever.
Yes.
A
true, selfless, and sweet,
right.
beautiful, and endearing.
For one thing, I like that his list was longer than hers.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one thing that I appreciated. I was like,
I
thank you.
love that he said sweet. I thought saying that was so, because she is sweet. He thinks she's sweet. And I was like, it was
And
just
true.
such a good little adjective,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Such
And
a
I loved how
good
Dorothy
list.
is. And I love before that too, when she's like, I have the book and it's telling Galley for him. Thanks to the very handsome man. He does that little like,
He's like, oh,
Good.
so cute. And he doesn't say a word the whole
No.
scene. He doesn't say
Right.
a word until she
No.
starts talking nice about him, and she's like listing all these good characteristics about him, and he's like, wait. What
Raises
about
his
you?
hand.
Like,
raises his
so
hand like,
cute. He
hello.
doesn't say a word until then. Which at first I was like, why isn't he saying anything? And I feel like
this is her moment. It's right.
yes, he's just letting her talk. It's her reading, Oh,
Right.
it's so cute.
then they talk
love that
about
she
how
put
it's
up
a
such a-
love story. And but they
Yes.
don't, so they start talking about love, but they don't come out and say I love you, because that's till next season.
I love that personally.
I
I
just
do
love the way they
too.
kind of imply it, but don't.
Allude.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the
I
ways
love
that
that-
they care about each other.
We know that they're in love, and they know that they're in love with each other. They've said it, but we still get to look forward to in season 9 hearing
Right.
them say, I
Yes.
love you.
I love you. Yeah.
It's so good. It's
good.
so perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. You get everything you want, and then you can anticipate more. I just
Yeah.
seems so good. I love how like meta it is, like it's just, she's saying, but this, because she wrote this whole book. It was Single Mother on the Frontier. And that was that story, and then it's like that story's done. And John Tinker said something about that in an interview about like, it's so good because she, let's see where it was. Oh, it's like a metaphor basically. So it's like through the, they have this private celebration, the imminent publication of her book, and she's not ready to just write a new chapter now with him, but like another totally new love story.
Yeah, a new novel. Yeah.
An entire new love story with him. It's just, that's so
Yeah.
perfect.
And I love how when she says like, I have this, when she says, you may know me from my previous work, and he like tilts his head like, huh? It's so cute. And then she's like, well, I have this in galley form, and she's like, but I want to speak from my heart. And he's like, again, he tilts his head, he's like, huh?
And then I think that's, go ahead, please.
No, that's it.
Do you think I kind of figured that's what she had planned out the night before. Like when she gets the
Yeah.
manuscript, she takes it, and she writes that little invitation that this is
Yeah.
what she was planning to basically like, I owe him the
Yeah.
big gesture. I'm going to declare my love. And it was going to be this big, beautiful moment. But then of course everything happened, which then we got the bridge, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I
Which
think I
is
was
so-
lamenting somewhere. I was like, oh, poor Elizabeth. They're like, but we got the bridge.
No, it's so fun. It's so fun, like knowing going into it that we know that she planned this library scene.
I know.
And she didn't plan the bridge scene, you know?
No.
So they went into the library scene in a totally different way than she anticipated. So they go into the library scene knowing that they love each other.
Oh, you're right. Much
So
more
it's a
like on the same
different-
page. You're right.
Yeah,
It's not
so
her.
it's a different
It's not just
way that
the,
it would have played
yeah,
out. That yeah.
True.
So then he's not afraid to go, walk up to her and grab her hands. Like they know that they're in love with each other already.
So in love with each other. I feel like he's been in love with her for so long.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like he's
Yes.
loved her for years?
Yeah.
That
He
poor guy.
loves her.
Which is why
So
her
beautiful.
reaction meant more to me. For me, I
Yeah.
wanted like how enthusiastic she was and how
Yeah.
she
Like, she's
showed
into
him.
it.
Yeah, she was more into it than him.
She's
He was
into
more
it.
subtle. So, but I like what John
Look-
Tinker said. He said the gesture, Elizabeth's gesture, was to
Yeah.
show that she was resolute, to show us, the audience, that she was resolute in her decision. So there's no backtracking. There's no,
No.
Mountie anywhere, any Mountie anywhere. And that it's also, to proclaim to him, to declare to him, hey, I'm ready to write a new love story with you. So it was supposed to be to show him without doubt, without any like stipulation. It's you and
Yeah.
me now. So I really love
They're a
that.
couple. I do.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jack and Elizabeth's vows when he says, like, without hesitation, I choose you without
yeah.
hesitation. It's like kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing there anymore. I mean, any.
Mhm.
Surge.
Triangle.
Yeah.
Unspoken
Trying to think of a nice
feelings.
way to say something.
No
Triangle.
more triangle.
No more triangle. I saw so many people that just said, I just want the end of the triangle. So like, and we got it. But then it's like, again, I feel like
Yeah.
it could have just ended with the bridge, but then that's the end of the chapter. I feel like the bridge was kind of the end of that chapter. And so now with the library, that's a whole nother,
Right.
Yeah.
that's the start of the love story, kind of. Does that make
Mhm.
any sense? Like
Mhm.
now we're going to
Yeah.
see, like you said, happy Elizabeth.
Hmm.
Hopefully, I mean, she's taken off her ring. She's had to process her grief. She's gone through, and now it's just going to be like, happy times are here again.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like
and
it's like the bridge. The bridge was like, okay, we know we want to be together, and now
Mhm.
the library is like, okay, this is what our story is gonna look like, kind of.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
going to be so beautiful. Oh, that shot was it was filmed so perfectly. Those candelabras and the lights, and they're right in the middle, and oh, so pretty. Like it couldn't have been any pretty. And that music touches me. It's so sweet and endearing. It's such
Mm.
good music.
And that music was, well, when the music started, it was the same music as Jack and Elizabeth's first dance at their first date and at their wedding.
Mm.
Mm. Something
Just
I
such a
liked
good
about
job.
this scene also, and it has to do with what you guys were saying earlier, was that in the same frame, I would say even, we get to see like Elizabeth looking a bit, I'm talking about the bit where he has just said that list of virtues
Beautiful
about her.
endearments.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she looks, for a moment, she looks a bit, I'd say, overwhelmed, I think. And, like she's so moved. And the next second, she looks back to her previous playful mood, I think.
Mm.
Didn't
Yeah.
you guys get that vibe?
Yeah. I think there's a lot little switches back and forth. in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
They're
she
so
wasn't
good.
expecting him to be like, he just lists off all these things that are so great about her, and she just the way
Exactly.
she looks at him, and she's just like, oh, well, yeah, of course we're gonna hear more from it. Like, yeah, it's so cute.
So good. Ah,
They're
So
so
good.
cute together.
Love
They're
it.
so
They're
perfect.
so cute.
And then I just love how then she said, how did she phrase it? Like, but I'm sure we'll be hearing more from him and from her, but for
Right.
now,
Yeah,
all
and then
out
the
of
way she
words.
says when she says, but for now she's out of words, she kind of almost whispers it. And it reminds me of the non-date library scene. You
I
know,
love
when
that
she's like,
scene.
when she goes, and I would think that was
think
very
that's very
sweet. Like she
sweet.
says it in the same
Right.
voice.
Yeah, she's kind of like being affected a little bit.
Like
And I'm
super
like,
quiet.
okay.
Uh-huh.
That's
I love it.
Lucas's effect on her. Right.
Yeah.
Lovely. So beautiful.
I mean, who wouldn't be attracted to that man? I love how someone said, I don't know who it was, somewhere they're like, I never knew hands rubbing on lapels could be so sexy until that moment.
Just
Like,
touching the lapels. I
touching
wanted
the
her to grab
lapels.
them, but you know, touching them is fine.
Almost.
I'll get there. Hopefully.
It's so good. And then the spin around like to the side and it's framed
The
so
spinny
perfectly.
whoop-de-doo.
There you go.
How did it happen? We need the behind the scenes of the spinny whoop-de-doo
Of the
to see.
spin. And his arms
How
are
it
around her. It's like, oh, it's so romantic. It's so perfect.
So
Ugh.
I can't believe they gave that to us. Like, so nice.
I know.
Like,
Thank you again, John Tinker. We already said thank you, but thank you again.
Thank you so much.
and like the whole set department and the lighting department and Aaron and
So
Chris,
good.
like, oh my gosh, like exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
It's
it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so romantic. Like, it was so romantic.
And then there's the whole like, didn't she mouth some words in there between the
Debate
kisses?
that we
It's
keep
like,
having.
I think she
did
did.
she just
Engage with us on social. We have a lot of conversations
Yeah.
in between.
at
It's
first
a
I
burning
thought she
question.
just- I thought
Such
she
a
just moved
burning
her mouth.
question.
Looking back, it really does look like she says something like, this is nice or something like that. It seems like a weird time to say hi. I don't know.
I know. I thought hi at first,
But-
and I think Linda like got really upset when I said
Like, why would you say hi right there? I
She's
don't know.
like, no, it's not hi. I thought it was like hi, you know, like kind of like.
And then someone was like, well,
That
her
was a
tongue
good
is coming
kiss.
back from the behind her teeth. It's like, nice. It's like, I don't know if she says anything, but it looks like she said something and they just cut the audio.
It looks
I
more
don't know.
like nice than hi.
It
right?
does. Yes, I think so.
I mean, I was team high until I saw it slow down.
I was team nice, and it makes more sense. So
I think
I
I'm
still might
team.
be a
I
little
was team.
high.
I was team. She just moved her mouth. I think I'm more leaning toward team.
That was
This
nice.
is nice.
right.
See, we can have
But I
teams
don't
in
know.
polite disagreements.
Yes.
It's all good. Like,
You're so civil.
Hey.
we can all still be friends.
And really, who cares? Doesn't matter.
I mean, are we all hashtag team good kiss, good scene? Like, at least like happy hearties.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Happy hearties.
100%.
I believe in romance again now.
So good.
Man, best show ever. Like, best scene ever. I'll just say it. It was so good.
Mhm.
So
I don't know
good.
how they can top it, but like,
Yeah.
challenge extended. Like,
Definitely.
oh
Hey, they
gosh,
have months.
they have months, so we might expect you to top it. I mean, the candles were beautiful. The music was beautiful. Everyone looked beautiful. Stunning. Now more.
Yeah. Give us more. The bar
up
is
the
set
good
high.
Now you're gonna let a lot of months go by, and we're gonna be like super greedy fans. We're gonna be like, I expect a romantic date every episode. I expect declarations of how much they love each other every episode. I expect you to like it. I mean,
PDA all the time.
The bar is high.
All the
Yep.
time.
Walking around.
I mean, honestly, on that note, should we talk
Great.
about some of what you wanted to talk about with like coming up or ideas for next week or with season 9? Just because the Kissiversary, is it too soon, or are you okay with mentioning that now, Div?
Oh, we can mention it now. So first of all, thank you everyone who participated in Kissiversary. It was awesome. We plastered that kiss everywhere. It was great. So this week we're thinking for our topic. On social, we are going to post on Twitter. We're going to post a tweet. Oh my gosh, I'm like all over the place right now. See, I'm still thinking about the kiss. We're going to post. I know what I'm doing after the podcast. We're gonna post a tweet with encouraging you guys to submit a wish list. So basically what you'd like to see happen in season 9. We've already seen some great posts, people who want, the Thatchers to come back. We've talked about Gustav, which that's a must.
Or
right?
Gustav.
More Gustav. So just whatever you want to see happen in season 9, we're going to make sure that we tag, John Tinker and Phoebe and the other people. And the hashtag that we want to use specifically is LucaBeth wishlist. So watch for that on Twitter. I think Jillian's going to put that out either on Monday or Tuesday. So we'd like to kind of keep it in the same thread. That way, we can kind of like go down the list and see what everyone says. You can just do it otherwise too. I mean, no hard and fast rules. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It'll be so fun. Thanks. I love that. Because we talked about doing a whole segment just with us, but then we were like, you know what? We want to hear from everybody.
Yeah,
We do.
So much-
Yeah.
And if you're not following us already on social media, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the LucaBeth Lounge, on YouTube at the LucaBeth Lounge, and Twitter at LucaBeth Lounge. Because that handle was too long. So LucaBeth Lounge on Twitter, the LucaBeth Lounge on Instagram and YouTube. Make sure you follow us and like and subscribe.
That helps.
It does.
And we want everyone to be in the lounge, everyone to be a part of this. That makes it so much more fun.
Yeah,
It does.
We're all here together.
So much more fun.
Not that it isn't fun just to have a group of us here, but I love the idea of like the full hearty community and everybody getting to chime in and contribute. It really makes it a lot
And
more
connecting.
fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Did anyone have any final thoughts then? I don't want anyone to not get to say everything they want to say about this like phenomenal finale, like the best, can we just say it? Best season finale in history. I'm just going to say it. It is.
it was.
Best finale season history, best kiss in Hallmark history. It just could not have been better. Couldn't have been better, right? That's my philosophy. Could not have been better. Does anyone have any other final thoughts they want to add in there, Linda or Blanca? Or
No, it was just, it was fabulous from beginning to end. And I just loved everything about the finale and the season. And it's just, I hadn't seen Elizabeth like that ever. I don't think, you guys are talking about Elizabeth and how lovely she was. And I don't think I've ever seen that. So I've seen glimpses of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm curious when
Because you've never watched season 1 through 5.
I know.
Linda, you got to get on that.
So when was the last time you saw that Elizabeth, like in that?
Before Jack died.
Yeah.
I don't even know. When was the last time?
I mean, it's been years, right? I mean, so this is
season 5, but
it's kind of amazing. This show is like, you can think of it as like, it started out her story on the frontier. Then it was like her finding love with Jack. Then it was like her learning to be a single mother on the frontier. And now we're moving on to the next segment, which is going to be love story with Lucas. I love it. I love how much
and the
this
dream
evolved.
of becoming a published author, right?
Yes.
It's also a big part
just
of it.
the beginning. Oh, I can't wait to see her
ties
book.
back to Jack too, because he's kind of the one that started that with her. From what
I know. I love that it
understand.
was the 2 loves of her life, encouraging her to write that book. So special. I can't wait for her book to be in their library.
I hadn't thought about
It'll be
that.
so good. Season 9 is going to be seriously
I'm so excited.
so
Like
good.
she's going to get her own book in the library. Like maybe eventually her own shelf,
I can see Rosemary being the one to take it first, before everyone gets there.
I love that. Who's going to check out her book first?
Right.
It should be Rosemary.
Right.
Since the guy, Lucas has already gotten a little preview there.
Yeah.
So good. Div and Jillian, what do you think about the finale? Best finale ever?
Best finale
ever.
The finale made it the best season ever for me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a long road. It was a long road to get here, but it was so worth it. And now I feel like season 9 is going to be so good without that triangle in the way. Like it's been 3 seasons of triangle.
Yeah.
So now we get to finally see it's really like a new show. It was kind of a new show after season 5, and now it's another sort of revival.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
there's
I
so
agree.
much to look forward to, at this
Yes.
point. Like he has to get into her house and they have to say I love you.
Yeah.
And the interactions with little Jack. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much ahead. I love
I
it.
love that they held stuff back so that there's things to look forward
Yeah,
to.
me
Because if he had
too.
gone in her house earlier, if some of that had happened, we wouldn't have as much
Exactly.
to anticipate. But they planted so many good seeds for season
Yeah.
9. Like
Yeah.
John Tinger, I feel like was
Mhm.
such a genius to like plant all these
So
seeds
clever.
about what's
I
going to
agree.
happen.
Hmm.
Oh, so good. He obviously has this full through line. And Dave, did you just say season 8 became your favorite once?
Just because of
felt
the
that way too.
finale.
Yeah, when it first started, I was like, okay, here we go. Buckle down. Like I was watching some of the video. I was watching yours and the other video that Dreaming Palm did, and then kind of like crying one night. Like I was like, let him go. It might not work out for you. Like just pre-mourn. And I was like emotionally detached, put all the groups on mute and just watch the show. And then it just like,
Yeah.
It ended up being so much better than I ever thought it could be. So
For
good.
some reason,
Same here. Yeah.
I didn't doubt the end game this season. Even with like the weird love declaration in like episode 2 and stuff. I never did, but I was wondering, I was a little nervous when they were like, oh, it's gonna swing back and forth. You'll think it's this person, then you'll think it's that person. So I was more annoyed with that I'd have to deal with, like, is it gonna be like an even ground? But I'm happy with how they did it, because I think if you really looked, you knew it was Lucas all along. It was, I mean, come on, they dated. So,
and I think in episode 1, it was clear it was Lucas, but I didn't see that until I went back and rewatched it. It wasn't until like a few episodes in that I went back. The episode 2 that you said, that rattled my cage. I'm so glad it didn't, but it made me freak out. Like you and a couple other people commented on Twitter. I like just put it out into the Twitterverse. I was like, are they throwing the love story away? Everyone's like, no, it's going to be okay. Calm down. And I deleted it off the DVR. I was sad. Like,
well, you don't need that episode anyway. So
I'm never gonna watch it again. Gosh, this was so much fun. Again, I can't believe we just wrapped a second podcast. Like, what a fun second chapter. I just thank you guys for talking with me today.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Thank you,
Time
everyone.
went by so fast today, right?
It did.
Wow. So fun.
I'm so glad that we
So fun.
saved part 2 so we could have all the time we wanted to talk about. I felt the bridge in the library. I feel like it worked so well. So thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Div. Thank you, Blanca. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone who came into the lounge. Oh,
thank you.
You're nice. But thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here, like to talk to friends and to talk about our favorite show. So thank you, everyone, for joining us in this brand new podcast. Again, we hope you love being in the lounge with us today as much as we just really love being with all of you. And as always, like, thank you so much to the producers, the writers, the cast, the crew of our favorite show, Wind Calls the Heart, and just everyone out there who loves Lucas and Elizabeth as much as we do. So until the next time we're in the lounge, bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.